Sharing the live stream. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Sweet.
And you're driving this off YouTube, obviously.
Yeah, YouTube, Zoom to YouTube.
Oh, currently meeting set to third party. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I got a notice saying you're sending this to a third party.
Oh, that's cool.
Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
What?
Oh
It
yeah, it's a
told
little
you before
YouTube
it told
button.
me. That's funny. Done. Redirecting to YouTube. Oh, we're live because I see us.
I got a notice. Meeting is now streaming.
Oh, I was listening to it. Okay. Can you still hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm minimizing this thing because I don't want to see myself twice. Hey, we're live. Greg, we're live.
It's
Let's
great to
do
be with
this.
you.
I
Let's
got a
do
little
it.
introduction for your audience today, sir. Everyone, everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Pod Off the Bike. This is an unscripted take behind the scenes with our favorite host of the Chief Endurance Officer podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Greg McDonough.
It's great to be with you as always.
I promised it was going to be informal, and then I gave you a big old crazy introduction like that. I came in a little strong.
I'm sure it was well deserved.
Dude, so the idea with this was to be able to get a chance to ask you those questions and find out more from you because you're always interviewing these amazing people, these business leaders, these athletes. So I wanted to kind of open up your brain if I could ask you some questions.
Yeah, fire away.
All right, man. First and foremost, you've got business leaders and you've got endurance athletes. They're on podiums, they're crushing it. They're moving through disabilities and challenges sometimes, and they're just going for it. Have you seen any like common traits across the two?
Yeah, absolutely. I say it boils down to habits, and what these individuals take on, how they focus their goal setting, execution, both from the business perspective and the athlete's perspective. You think about training for an endurance race, and that endurance race for some could be a 5K, and for others, it could be a 100 miler. Um, but the training and discipline for that is very similar to the training and discipline needed to run an organization or lead a team. And so there's a tremendous amount of synergy between the two.
Let me talk about the goal setting side. Is that has that been a common thing? Are people setting goals, either run a race or grow a company, and then are they getting strategic? Are they market like? Tell me more about the goal setting side.
Yeah, it's 100%, and
Yeah,
it's long term, short term, being flexible in your performance and in your goal setting. So let's say I've got a goal of finishing an Ironman next year, and
yeah,
I'm 3 months into my training and I pick up a calf injury. Well, my goal's still going to stay the same, but how I get there is going to have to change, right?
right.
And it's also being forgiving to yourself, right? You can't just be 100% goal focused and do anything and everything you can to get there. You need to sort of give yourself some forgiveness if you go off track, if you got to take some time, you pick up an injury. Um, so it's not a static thing, right? Goal setting is not a
Yeah.
static thing. You don't just sit there at the beginning of the year and say, I'm going to be doing X by the end of the year. It's really a dynamic, very much like business execution, a very much a dynamic. As you learn something today, you need to put that into your plan. And as you learn something tomorrow, put that into your plan. And maybe it feels like a random walk at the time, but at the end of the day, most likely it'll look like a straight line.
What about the discipline side? You'd mentioned that the discipline for the training or the discipline to just get it done in the companies.
Yeah, it's
Do they
the
have it or are they winging it? Like, sometimes I
you,
even wonder if I even have it, but like,
you
you know,
um I'd say from the athletic side, you have to have it. And you
yeah,
have to have it when people aren't watching, right? It's very easy and exciting to get tied up into the energy of crossing a finish line. But the reality is, by the time you get to the finish line, you've done all the hard days. And those hard days are the 6 a.m. 50-mile bike ride in the rain where your kids are chasing you down and your family's upset and you've got to travel the following day. It's like actually getting up and doing it. So doing the work when no one's watching is truly the key to the discipline side of this the sport.
Yeah. It like the finish line or the exiting a company is that one little blip on the radar that many people see and they probably focus on. But yeah, that the image of the ride in the rain, everyone's mad at you. Like, why are you spending so much time doing this and this? No, none of that was easy.
That's right.
For any dimension.
That's
Yeah.
right. And to your point, Casey, it's absolutely similar to the business side, right?
Yeah.
You talk about the exits, you talk about your revenue growth, but you don't talk very much about the dark days or going to the office on a Saturday to get something out the door, or the personal struggles you have with managing a team. Like, we don't really talk about that much, but it's the work that
Yeah.
has to get done.
Do any particular, I mean, you had nothing but stories. You've had some great interviews. Any particular stories come to mind of just being just powerful imagery like that riding in the rain?
Yeah, and names are slipping me at the moment, but anytime that I'm talking to a challenged athlete, and I do a lot of support work for the Challenge Athletes Foundation. And if those who are listening or watching don't know about that organization, they should Google it, because it does miracle work every day. But seeing these individuals accomplish their goals and dreams and things that I struggle with two arms and two legs and a healthy
Yeah.
body, seeing them accomplish more with less and be grateful about it, it's incredible. It makes my skin tingle. It gets me motivated to do more, to contribute more to our community.
Wow. Tell me more about, so it's called the Challenge
Athletes
Athletes Foundation.
Foundation.
Pull that
Yeah.
up.
And I want to say it was 40 years ago, Bob Babbitt and a group of individuals formed it. And again, their stories are incredible. In fact, I'm going out
Wow.
to San Diego in a few weeks to support one of their triathlon events. Um, and I don't know, I might be in the waters swimming next to somebody who needs a little of assistance, or I might be on a bike, or I'm
Yeah.
just going down there and raising my hand and seeing what mischief I can get into.
Heck yeah. In it, I found the link. It's challengeathletes.org, throwing that bad boy in the chat so that we can share that with those that are listening now and in the future. So sick. Man, it's something about, like, you're right. Like, we have our own struggles, like, oh, that was a tough workout, or man, that training was hard. But man, to have some kind of challenge on top of that, it's still put in the same amount of discipline and work and effort and goal setting that you talked about that the business leaders did and those Kona finishers did.
That's right.
They're all in the same realm.
That's right. And and I don't talk about this often. My passion for it really goes back to my child. So my older brother's mentally handicapped. He was
Oh wow.
born with brain damage, and he walks into life every day with his cup overflowing with joy. He would walk into a restaurant and introduce himself to everybody,
What's his
pick up
name?
conversation. Paul
Shout
McDonough.
out to Paul. What's up, man?
Yeah. And this guy, he can't read. He walks, he gets around, but he needs a lot of support and a lot of people around him, my family in particular.
Yeah.
But again, this guy walks into a room and lights up the room. And I'm the fortunate one that can go out with my buddies or go hit a golf ball or go for a run or have a business meeting. It just gives you a lot of gratitude.
Yeah. Gratitude and perspective, right? I mean, he walks in a room and lights it up. What are we so grumpy
Right.
about?
Right.
Like, when the people that probably have something to be cynical and grumpy about aren't, and we were late, or the car needs gas, or my water heater melted in my basement. Okay, but
Right. My kids aren't getting out to the bus in time.
yeah, come
It's,
on,
yeah.
man. So you've been supporting that foundation for a bit. What do you like to
Yeah. So
do? How do you
when I
support
did
them?
my first triathlon, it was Escape from Alcatraz, and I fundraised for the Challenge Athletes Foundation.
Damn.
And have been somewhat connected to it since. Some years are more impactful than others, but this is the first time that I'll go out and travel uh, to meet the organization and to support them in a race.
I feel like we're learning like Greg trivia. So for all the fans out there, learn a little bit more from listening to you on every podcast. You listen to this, we get the inside scoop on you. So your first try was Escape from Alcatraz?
But I'd say my first significant try. I did a handful of sprints and a handful of
Okay.
Olympic distance tries,
What distance is
but
Alcatraz?
it's an Olympic, but you're
Okay.
swimming in the bay. The
Yeah, with
bike course
sharks
is
and
ridiculous,
tides
right?
and
And it's cold,
damn.
and the run course is hilly, and you go from gravel to asphalt to sand to up these sand stairs, and it's a half Ironman effort
Sounds
just to finish
terrible.
that race. Yeah,
Sounds great to
it is there,
watch and terrible to
right?
participate in. Have
Yeah,
you
well, the
done it
best is
since?
right. You're on the boat, and depending on where the boat is with the waves, you're either doing a
Yeah.
15-foot jump into water that's blistering cold, or a 5-foot jump, and another 10 people behind you are just about to jump on top of you. So
Oh
you got to
man.
get in there and go.
Getting there. Oh my gosh, man. The start of tries are already madness. To add waves in there, waves and
Right.
people. Did you have to do the whole course in like a striped cotton uniform or do you wear a tri suit?
No, it was a tri suit.
Okay. At least they had that. They should make you like have a shackle, with a ball
Right.
and chain on it.
Yeah, your swim cap should be, yeah, ball and chain.
And
That would be interesting
like
for the
we're
race.
missing 50 people where they're in the
Check the
bay
Pacific
still.
Ocean. Right. Right. Right.
Dang. Wow, Escape from Alcatraz. Do you recommend people try that one out?
I do. It's a great race.
Wait. It sounded miserable, but that was a great race.
Well, all the good ones are, right? Like
Truth.
Placid, you talk about climbing, you talk about mountains, and you talk about, but it's once you're finished, that's what the glory kicks in.
Yeah, those are the ones you remember, right? You don't remember this like the sunny day, cool 70 degrees, perfect
Right. Flat.
weather, flat, a wind at your back pushing you in the run. Yeah, you don't
It's
remember
right.
those at all. You remember the rain and the. I remember going around a lake. It was Newfound Lake in New Hampshire, and it was just like it is like if God had picked up the land and what he was like someone was making hills on purpose, just to mess with us all. But I also remember the water being warmer than the air. So
Interesting.
we were freezing our butts off at the waiting for the start. And I saw a few crazy individuals in the water already. And we're like, what are they doing? But then you put your feet in, you're like, oh, I'm going all in. I'm like up to my neck already because I'm like, this is great. This water is beautiful compared to the sky, New England weather where it just was gray and snowy.
That's awesome.
Man. So Alcatraz, Lake Placid, any other terrors come to your mind of locations?
Terrors. Yeah. Well, if you're talking favorites, Challenge
Terrible
Roth
favorites.
is a favorite.
Sorry, which one?
Um, Challenge Roth. So it's not in the Ironman series. There's another series called the Challenge Family, and it's the same distance, just different brand. And Challenge Roth is basically their Kona. It's the one, and
Wow.
I got to tell you, the fan support on that bike course is unbelievable. It feels like, I would imagine, because I haven't done it, like you're in the Tour de France and you're gonna take on this climb, and it's
Yeah.
completely covered with spectators. And as you get a little bit closer, they open up this gap that's just wide enough for your shoulders and your handlebars to get through. And they're like pushing you, giving you pats on the back, and then you finally get to the top, and it's you can hear my energy just picking up talking about it.
Yeah.
So that's an epic race.
Man, that support can just be so good and just make the difference between, good time and not even finishing. What's your favorite support? What do you love about it? Or
Um,
like what just throw a bucket of water at me and I'm good or
for me, it's family. Having family out there on race day, either racing alongside my wife, and then my kids in the audience, I guess if you call it an audience. Um, it makes that day, I don't know, it goes back to discipline and getting it. Like I can't stop, even if I got to crawl across the finish line, if I know my kids and my wife and my parents and their families and are there.
yeah, man.
So for me, that's the ultimate support. I've done races where they haven't been there, and it feels kind of lonely. Don't tell
Yeah.
them, but that's all right. But yeah, and it's interesting when you think about support crowds. Usually many of these races, there are multiple loops. And so for the first and second loop, there's a lot of crowd activity. But as the
Mm,
strong athletes are finishing and they're going home, you get less and less support from just random spectators. And so
yeah.
when you get into the nighttime, it gets back to being lonely. It gets back to you feeling like a training day because there's usually patches on the run course that it's just you and maybe somebody else who's also shuffling in.
Yeah.
Um, but the fans, the supporters that stay to the very end, that stay to midnight or 11 o'clock in Europe, thank you to you guys that stick it out because we really need that little push at the end to say, hey, there is somebody here waiting for me to finish and is going to congratulate me.
Something about just having another human being just cheering you on. Hey man, you got
Mhm.
this. Just it's that accountability or that encouragement. I love it, man. It reminded me, my daughter got into cross country and I just went to my first meet and I was looking at and all the people were running by and they were cheering on everybody. Like it didn't
Yeah.
matter what team you were. Now, I will say the cheers did go up a little bit higher for the team that was yours, and I did shout out a little bit more for my own team. But still, you're just encouraging people to make it happen. And
Yeah.
I don't know if enough can be said. What's your take on the cowbell?
I love the cowbell. I need more cowbell.
You know what? I think we need more cowbell. You're right. You're
Yeah.
totally right. I don't know if I mentioned this to you earlier, but I bought a giant cowbell. And my daughter found it at Five Below. It has a handle on it. It's that big.
Wow.
And inside it basically has a giant Thor's hammer inside that thing to smack back and forth. I tried it a couple times in the store, which made my teenager completely embarrassed. Um, but I kept doing it just because I
Of
had to.
course.
But you know what? I told her, hey, you're going to be in the woods. You won't even be at the spectator area, and you'll hear this Kong, 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 and you'll know that's me, causing a ruckus. But maybe that'll help spur you on a little bit.
It definitely will.
It makes me think we need merch, dude. We need like chief endurance officer cowbells, you know,
Oh, there you
with
go.
handles.
Right. All right, we'll put that on the list.
And t-shirts. I know you got some swag, but we may just need a swag store, as
That'd be
well.
awesome. I'd love to
Yeah.
get that
So
get that branding out there.
I got one final question for you because I
Yeah,
know we're
yeah.
coming up on time and it's just a live session. It's not a 24-hour stream, people. So don't get your hopes up. But I had one final question for you, which is actually, hold on. We got a question from the live chat. How can you train mentally to deal with that loneliness that you were talking about? That's a good question. Shout out to Kyle for that one.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's repetition, right? It's have being been there before.
Mm,
Um, right. You get into your training and you're doing it shorter distances at the beginning, and then you're adding a little bit more time and a little bit more loneliness and a little bit more time by yourself. And so by the time you get to sort of the full course or race day, you've kind of had those longer lonely moments.
yeah.
I also do a lot of meditation, a lot of sort of mindset work
Mm,
because a tremendous amount of doubt starts coming in, especially early on in a race. It's like, am I going to finish today? Am I going to like all these scenarios start
yeah.
playing out? And so if you don't have a good sort of meditation practice, it can become overwhelming.
I bet. I
Great
bet.
question.
Yeah, that is a really good question. Do you repeat things over and over in your head? What kind of meditation do you do when you're
Yeah,
out
so
there?
I sing
Yeah.
Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles is one of mine. And then I
No
tell
kidding.
myself every day in every way you get better and better. And if I'm in a rut or in a dark place, I just one of those two comes through. Um, and it just gets me to that next mile or that next foot forward. And eventually the feeling dissipates and either another painful feeling comes in and the old one goes away, but at least
Yeah.
it's a change.
Yeah, I love that. You said every day in every way I get better and better.
Yeah,
You get better and better. You'll just say that over and over again to yourself.
I will. Yeah.
I love that. That's sick.
One day it'll be true.
Is this the show? Is this the episode where you're gonna sing Here Comes the Sun, or is that
No,
a future
that's
episode? Is that a
that's
future episode?
for the audience to wait in anticipation.
Yeah, some future episode. Keep tuning in here, y'all, and then maybe one day we'll motivate. Maybe we get to like 1,000 subscribers or something, and we'll get Greg to do some singing. Can
Yeah.
we get a promise for that?
Yeah,
1,000?
I'll do that. But it'd have to be I have to be sitting on my bike going through a brick workout or something grueling, and we'll come in live and I'll be singing and then it'll just go away.
Yeah, yeah, love that, love that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna end on that, dude. That's brilliant, and I'm gonna save that question for next time. Powerful stuff. Any final words, sir?
Now just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Hell yeah. One foot in front of the other. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen.
A
First
new
episode
concept.
ever. Run off the bike. Actually, run off the pod. Now we know where we got the name from. Run off the pod. Hey, super happy to be here. Thanks, Greg. You're the man. Keep up the podcast and came to tune to the next episode. That was going to be my answer, which is this, I just tuned into Chief Endurance Officer, and that's how you get through mile 20. Come on. But with that,